It's nice to see New Yorkers using their hands for something besides stabbing people. Happy Wednesday, everyone. So the police were called to a Chicago airport after a Southwest Airlines passenger got naked and pooped on her seat.
Sorry.
In her defense, she did board in group number 2. Failed VP candidate Tim Walz says Kamala Harris picked him because he can talk to white guys. True, here's one of the white guys. According to the Daily Caller, the 4 Democrats who went to an El Salvador prison to visit alleged gang member Kilmar Abrega Garcia stayed in a luxury hotel. In their defense, they got a discount using the promo code MS13. In their first 100 days, Trump faced 92% negative coverage, while Biden received nearly 60% positive press coverage. The press's excuse? They were told not to speak ill of the dead. Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan, who was accused of shielding an illegal immigrant from ICE agents, has been temporarily relieved of her official duties. However, she will now go back to her previous job of terrorizing the Goonies. Close. Scientists have found a giant hidden gas cloud only 300 light years away from Earth. Hey, don't look at me, said one man. 80 years ago today, Adolf Hitler killed himself. At least that's what my Uncle Steve keeps telling me. I stay at his place in Argentina. Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to they, them?" Thank you. Thank you. And finally, George Clooney's wife, Amal, could be denied entry to America for accusing Benjamin Netanyahu of war crimes, prompting Bill Clinton to urge Hillary to accuse Benjamin Netanyahu of war crimes. All right. So as we mark the Trump administration's first 100 days, let's not forget the Dems. Yes, it's time for...
The Dems' first 100 days.
Not like this! Not like this!
I don't know what that means, but okay. So while Trump's been battling to secure the border, cut government waste, and restore law and order, the Dems have been doing what exactly? Let's take a fond look back at their great achievements so far. Of course, we begin with a joint session of Congress. And a reminder, this was not an audition to play the next Chewbacca.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Okay, homeless Moses. Then we got the kind of singing that would have made Van Gogh cut off his other ear.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Silence lights the way.
Yes, it does. I never thought I'd say this, but I miss Yoko Ono.
Yes.
Then we got a filibuster, which is a fancy word of saying, I won't shut up.
When is it going to be enough? I will not stand for another American to lose their health care for a billionaire. I don't want a Disneyfication of our history. I don't want to whitewash history. I don't want to homogenize history. Today into tomorrow, I'm going to stand as long as I can.
The people. We're going to stand up. We're going to stand up.
You know, they'd have arrested him for loitering if they didn't think he'd like it. I wonder if such grandstanding is a hit with the ladies. I kid, that guy's about as straight as Steve Buscemi's teeth. Up next, JB, which stands for Junior Blimp.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption. But I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
The only mass disruption we have to worry about from him is when he busts through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man. He wants Republicans to never know peace? Yeah, just like the plumber he keeps on retainer. Then there's Walt, still lingering like a fart in a car seat.
On my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So
That was their token masculine male. I've seen balls of yarn with more testosterone. But what did his shock troops do? Vandalize Teslas, burn down dealerships. You think Waltz will visit them in jail? Only if it's conjugal. Or conjugal.
Conjugal. No, I like that first one.
Conjugal. That's if you're Jewish. Conjugal if you're Jewish, conjugal if you're not. Then there was spring break. Senator Van Hollen took off for El Salvador on our time and our dime to rub elbows with a wife-beating MS-13 gang member, or as the Dems call him, a Maryland dad. Which is like saying Ted Bundy was a dating expert from Vermont. Not to be outdone, Bernie and AOC took to a private jet around the country to fight oligarchy. What's next? A polo match in support of struggling glue factories? All of this culminated yesterday with this call for impeachment.
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
Is that even real? I mean the hair. The hair, not the impeachment. I haven't seen hair that thick since Rashida Tlaib wore a tank top. But, man, are the Dems getting impatient. Trump's first impeachment came 173 days into his first term. Here it's 99 days. Makes you think, what are they going to do for his third term? Of course, there's as much a chance that Trump will be impeached as there is a Joy Behar ever seeing her feet. Making it the perfect metaphor for the Dems' first 100 days. Fake, pointless, all for show. Of course, that's what the Dems did. But what about what they didn't do? Well, they didn't support the Lake and Riley Act, or making government more efficient, or protecting women's sports. No wonder their popularity ratings are as high as Stevie Wonder's bowling score. But the Dems still have the media. The Trump White House has faced 92% negative coverage from ABC, NBC, CBS. However, in their defense, all three believe they can get that up to 100% in no time. But the Dems' theatrics are proof of the party's inherent failures. Their ideology is based on internal conflict. And a competition between the aggrieved never generates a leader, only miserable followers at each other's throats. So it's been a glorious first 100 days for the Dems. Here's to another 100 if they make it that far. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She uses those glasses to expose stupid jackasses. Host of Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. He's proof that Jews don't run show business. Comedian Rich Voss. She once talked a guy into jumping off a cliff. Co-host of Outnumbered, Emily Capano. And for him, every van is a minivan. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, Kennedy, when you go through that entire mosaic of the last 100 days, it's kind of amazing, like what the Dems have done in their own frustration and desperation. What say you?
Yeah, a 25-hour, it wasn't even a filibuster.
Yeah.
It was just a guy who wouldn't shut up for a day and an hour who then was so exhausting he had to go have a sit-in outside of his own office. And then J.B. Pritzker, who was calling for essentially a stampede, which is very dangerous if he's running to anything.
True.
I'd rather give the elephants in the zoo a manicure. And he's also, he says that the country right now, it's a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. But I think what he really means is 5-alarm chili, because he just wants to eat anything he possibly can. So you're looking at a group of people who are hysterical, devoid of ideas, and just out to outperform each other with these meaningless stunts, which is exactly what voters voted against. If they wanted meaningless blather, we'd have President Kamala right now.
That is so true.
Thank you.
Rich, how was your last 100 days?
Well, it's been great. Here's the thing. I loved him with Key and Peele.
He does look like, no, he does.
I know. Yeah. And the guy next to him looks like he's drinking meatloaf milkshakes. Here's... See, for me, 100, okay, I really don't care about the price of gas, stocks, that, eggs. I get eggs free. My friend has 30 chickens.
Oh, good for you.
If you want eggs, I can make a call right now.
Good for you. That's fantastic.
About to get 3.1 million calls, bro.
Okay. I can get eggs. So none of that matters to me. You know what matters to me is what's going on in Israel, what's going on these campuses, and take off your masks. That's what I care about. That's my main goal. Now, also, everything isn't positive with the president. There's so many things I like that Trump's doing, but the fact that he's selling sneakers and watches, I don't want my president to have a side hustle, okay? I don't want to see my president in front of check cashing, selling do-rags and incense, all right? Okay?
Which is ironic, because that's how you're dressed.
Let me finish. My first 100 days have been great. They've been good.
Yeah.
I see a lot of change for the things that I care about. So it's good. And I keep getting called back here, so what the hell? What else?
Well, it's usually when somebody calls in sick.
It doesn't matter. You get to the V's and I'm here.
Yes. I'm kidding. We always have you scheduled on well in advance, a few hours. Emily. How would you grade the Dems' first 100 days under Trump? Have they done enough to convince voters that they deserve another chance?
No, F minus, unless they're being graded on utter failure and missing the point, then it's an A+. I loved what you mentioned about they're missing the entire point, and that they have been missing purpose and policy this entire time. So the playbook that we're watching, we're all sitting here in the front row just watching them exhaust this tired playbook. We're day 99, it's impeachment. And then what happens next? Hakeem Jeffries says that the president is not cognitively fit to serve. Like, we're on that page now?
Yeah.
And you helped gloss over the last 4 years, and you are saying that now? I love today in the cabinet meeting when the Attorney General talked about what hasn't happened. And I think that's just as important as what has in the last 100 days that this president has accomplished. When she talked about the amount of fentanyl that has been seized, the dearth of the border crossings, relating to millions of Americans' lives that were saved. And the fact that the media refuses to cover it, the Dems refuse to thank this president for it.
They made fun of her over that line. They thought, oh, how could she prove that? Well, you know what? You didn't bother checking Joe Biden's pulse.
And it does, I think that level of attempting to find the data, the data was in the last 4 years. The data is Laken Riley. The data is Jocelyn Nungari. That won't happen under this president. The inflation, the fact that we all lost 20 pounds just the day after the election because President Trump is the one in the White House, that is the good part. The Dems failing to see that or even work on 1.1 message, 1 leader whatsoever, it's failure. A+ in failure.
Tyrus.
What it is.
What it is, what it shall be.
Yes, well said, Gutfeld. Well said.
Thank you.
The left.
Yes.
There on that photo right there is the Mount Rushmore for birth control. Unfortunately, President Trump tried to do a stimulus package where he had offered 5,000 to make babies. With that, we need to raise it up to 10. They have no focus because they never really did. It's the activists, and these are the activists. They make up that's not real. They don't even, when they do have an opportunity, they're so within themselves that they don't even know what to do with it. For example, if you are going to talk for 24 hours, why in the blue would you talk fast?
Yeah.
Did anyone else? Bro, you got 24 hours. Slow that down.
Yeah.
I'd be breaking out the books. Oh, sit down, and we're going to read the story of Old Yeller. Chapter 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least make it interesting. They have no charisma. They have nothing that attracts people to them, i.e. the photo. And that's their problem. They can't bring anybody in, but then again, they don't really want anybody in. They want their small bubble, and the way they've done things for the last 4 years, they've been able to fleece this country at will, make up fake that people will buy, and they had the propaganda media to support them. So none of that has really changed. So they're not ever going to decide one morning to wake up and say, hey, I'm going to be about facts and accountability. Hell, all marriages would be better in that case. But they don't. They're going to stick with feelings and emotions and what they little think tank groups, because they're only working for the audiences of their ones. As long as the CEOs of these networks allow these propagandist journalists to spew that stuff, there's no reason for them to change. Politicians will change if there's a reason to. But in their mind, we keep doing this, eventually something's going to stick on the president. And the president has been, this is the reason why he's lost so much weight, is because he's boxing, because he's out there bobbing and moving, and every time they try to throw something at him, he's like, You know, like, you never stopped Ukraine. By the way, bitch, we got the mineral rights now. You know what I'm saying? He continues. I mean, that's the president. Like, he just continues to do that.
Before we go, come see me on tour with special guest Tom Shalhoub. We'll be in Highland Heights, Kentucky, Jacksonville, Florida, Grand Rapids, not Good Rapids, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Rockford, Illinois. Go to ggutfeld.com for tickets. Coming up, a TV hack defends the media.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.